Welcome to CGT Podcast, episode 8. Now, this episode, or this podcast number, is going to be an infinite loop. That's all I want to say. I don't even know what the name is, but the infinite loop, because that's what it seems like people are in nowadays. So in order for me to get myself out of the infinite loop and the people who care to get out of the infinite loop, I'm going to have to trap both of us inside of a spider web. So with that being said, I want to talk to y'all about dualities. The eight energy represents, you feel me, infinity to me. So I want to talk to y'all about dualities. You know, that's one of my specialties. Even though everything is not a duality, everything is a duality, because duality is a duality itself. With that being said, I'm going to be talking to y'all about verses today. It's a war type mind state. Me, Mars, you feel me, Xolji Mars has been summoned right here to manifest and show you I'm like a whistleblower, you feel me? I'm like a whistleblower. And with that being said, today, we're going to be connected with some more whistleblowers. We're going to be breaking down or reviewing or reacting to. Yeah, we're going to be reacting to some fire by Millie W, you feel me, with the SG Shadowgate documentary. And the reason I want to bring that up is because it's relevant to the infinite loop, basically, what we're stuck in. So once again, in order for me to, all of you people, if you vibrate to the energy of being called a Black Lives Matter, or being called somebody who's a group who's associated with the New Age movement, people who don't consider themselves political at all, that you're involved in this too. Government document believers, people who just be on top of government documents and pretty much, like, you feel me, up to date with all actual news that's actually going on, supposedly. Not just the fake news. Then you got attention seekers / clout chasers / instigators / no-siders. So these are people who don't really got no side. They just out there saying, oh yeah, y'all niggas need to wake up type shit. And people also, I'm going on down the list, people who are in grassroots movements, genuine grassroots movement members. You are part of this too, okay? Now, how I'm trapping y'all all inside of my spider web right now so that we can all learn together is because I'm going to name how each one of you are being, you feel me, inspired. I can name directly where you get your sources from. You can't run from me, bro. I've been doing the same research you've been doing, if not heavier, because I don't have no commitment towards anything but my family. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm pretty sure we all on the same level. I ain't saying I'm smarter than you in that thing. What I have to break down is that I know where y'all get y'all stuff from. Each and every last one of the groups of people I just named. And if you get your sources from one of these people, then you're in one of these groups. And I'm gonna break it down just by reacting to the Shadowgate documentary. And how is that relevant? Because of the fact that, hold on, let me spark this up. No more stalling. How is that relevant? It's relevant to, you feel me, the Shadowgate movement is relevant because you got somebody like Millie W. Millie W, right? Let me plug that back up. Millie W, right? She dropped Shadowgate 1. That shit was fire. They took it off the internet. They attacked her, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Half of the people who was onto the Shadowgate stuff are now not onto it no more. You get what I'm saying? Because they did a psyops on y'all. So when she dropped this second one, which is going into more detail, she's going to drop a third one. Y'all not, half of the people who was on the first one not even catching up and picking up on the second one, right? So the reason I had to do that is because in the second one, she goes more in detail on how each one of the groups I just named are being literally directly manipulated by government and secret society using technology like computers, laptops, cell phones, you feel me, even psychedelic drugs, organizations, and institutions like schools. They use these in order to inspire these different groups of people in their different points of being in life to literally conflict with each other. Now, I know there's a lot of people, especially the no-siders / instigators. And the side where it's like the no-sided / instigators versus the genuine grassroots movement people or people who are part of these movements, you feel me? Y'all are pretty much y'all are closest to being the most righteous in the situation, in all honesty. But there's still a little bit of like arrogance there. So I had to like even break it down and put you in the trap so you can learn how you're being used too. Like, I'm being used too. Just by me making this video, I'm being used. You get what I'm saying? Because of the fact that certain people not even going to understand it the way I want them to. So that's what they're counting on. And that's why we had to, you feel me, react to Shadowgate. So I'm going to start the last 40 minutes of the fucking film. Y'all can stick with me through 40 minutes, right? I might pause it and react to certain parts so y'all can get where I'm going. But once again, I'm going to name each and every last source that you could be using in today's time, because I am on top of this shit just like you are. So with that being said, if you are really on some shit, then these are the sources that you are using right now. WikiLeaks, George Soros / Joe Biden / Black Lives Matter, Donald Trump / QAnon, Alex Jones, the military industrial complex / the CIA / the CFR, and all of their contractors. Many are getting information from these people, once again. Mainstream media, obvious, you feel me? The last two are obvious if you're already conscious. You already know you're getting information from these people at the end of the day. But for the rest of these people, they might be convinced that they're getting some type of new breaking news from a conspiracy theory point of view, but really you're just passing along the torch that they wanted you to. Anyway, David Icke, Young Pharaoh, and either Shadowgate or Julian Assange. You feel me? With that being said, those are the sources right now. Everything that's on YouTube, mainstream media, all this shit is coming from these places. Now I might be off with I might have forgot one or two, but nobody can't come in here and tell me that the list that I just named is not accurate in today's time. And if you don't get your information from these people, I guarantee you that you're just getting your information from somebody who is just reciting what the main ones on this list that I just named, you feel me, are getting the information from themselves. So with that being said, I'm about to start. Pop it off. So in general, Shadowgate is about the government using their secret agencies to contract people to make it even more hidden, to use the internet to collect a shadow version of you. So that movie Us, that was actually about how most of the social media platforms are gaining so much control and power at a rate at which they can literally, you get what I'm saying, have the power to create your signatures and know your subconscious self, basically. That's what your shadow self means. It means they know your habits, they know your subconscious desires, they know this based off of the programs that they've hooked up to your DNA, hooked up to your mind. So she is a part of this movement of people who understand this, and they want to state, we need privacy, bro, that's it. We need privacy. So I heard it's a nigga on YouTube also. If you want to go check him out, you feel me? I fuck with him sometimes too. Dolo the Pilot Man type shit. He said something, you feel me? What did that nigga say? He said, you feel me? It was something specific. But basically, that's what I brought that up. Because of the fact that, you feel me, there's a breakdown of a way you can see things in which you can see that the things in which they're the WikiLeaks people, basically, the people like are part of QAnon and the people who want people to drain the swamp. That's very true. You need to drain the swamp, but you got to realize that this is how these people play this game, though. It's a chess game. So yeah, they'll sacrifice a couple of their pieces. That ain't nothing. But in the process, they're going to get everybody else in a program, in a mind state of fear in which they can induce new laws that will last for the next couple of years to secure even more power and control for them. So Of course, yeah, you need to be able to access Hillary Clinton emails and government official emails, but we should not be able to access citizens born in this country fucking email, bro. You get what I'm saying? Especially if you like a fourth generation person. Like there should be laws, specific laws and details involved with this, and there isn't. It's very vague. So that's why shout out get was made. Let's pop it off. Let me put it on full screen. Hold on, let me put it on full screen. And then turn up the volume on the TV. There you go. Alright, let's go. I'm gonna start back a little bit. Go back a little bit on it. Alright.
And you leave that job. Can you be trusted, having been paid to disseminate a narrative before by the Defense Department, to be sitting in that chair telling people what they're supposed to be trusted to believe? So when the PAO pays someone overseas to disseminate a narrative, and that person comes back and goes to work,
what we're defending is the people's right to know.
As a journalist in the U.S., how do you know? Their trust has been destroyed. That was the argument Emma was trying to make in that. That was the argument that the PAO, the Public Affairs Office, that was the debate they were having with the PSYOP. If you are damaging the credibility of our establishment, then you are endangering First Amendment protections. You're endangering freedom of the press. You're damaging the Constitution.
Now, the First Amendment, first of all the amendments are just basically, you feel me, nothing but the Catholic law or the papal bull and all the stuff they made back in the day with the Catholic Church. The laws that they established inside of Europe. That's nothing but them rewriting that shit in a more, you get what I'm saying, more friendly way to the average person. But in reality, it's a balance. The average person should know certain things, like, you feel me, that you should have a freedom of press. Why is it important to have a freedom of press? You get what I'm saying? So the anti-political people, they probably won't even understand this, or even the people who are clout chasers or no-siders, they probably won't even understand this. The fact that, you get what I'm saying, in history, the reason why people made these amendments and shit and started following is because it's not because, oh yeah, they forced people to do it. Yeah, the laws were made to actually hide, in reality, the people who were actually doing it. To make you think that somebody's out there taking care of them when in reality they're not. You are a person at home, you wouldn't even do half of this shit. You wouldn't even question why you need freedom of press. You know why you need freedom of press, hopefully. But once we have PSYOPs there, a lot of people will start going so hard for anarchy that they don't even understand that, they don't even understand that that's not going to solve the problem, basically. I'm not saying there's like law, oh yeah, you need law. What I'm saying basically is the amendments and the Constitution and stuff like that, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, and we're going to find some better shit very soon. I'm very, very sure of that. But with that being said, that's pretty much the only thing that's stopping some evil people from doing shit to you right now, honestly. Because a lot of people, like, not you specifically, but the people who are weak-minded out there. You get what I'm saying? So the freedom of press is basically you being able to goddamn have truthful information brought to you. That's it. The freedom of all this stuff is just basically going back to you being able to live your happiest and healthiest and principle. Now, that is based off of you. That's based up to you. You get what I'm saying? What you do with these freedoms.
If we continue to accept or even participate in the use of military-grade PSYOPs by mainstream media, social media influencers, and bloggers alike, in order to control the narrative and counter-narrative, we risk not only losing a free, healthy, and independent press, but we risk losing our minds.
Do you have any...
Oh yeah, everybody done seen this one before. If you really on that conspiracy theory video.
...by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal. We do have people who submit pieces to American journals. Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Mainstream media, or legacy media, has a long history of intelligence operatives and their prodigy running the news.
Mika Brzezinski, her father is the father of influence operations and psychological warfare.
A towering figure in American foreign policy, an extended member.
So, one of the biggest people in the CFR during the 2000s, and during the beginning of the 1990s and stuff like that. I can't even say this man's name, right? It just so happened that her daughter ended up hosting a fucking TV show, right? What a coincidence. It just so happens that she ended up hosting a TV show. His daughter ended up hosting a TV show, and it just so happens that it's a news show. Just so happened, family. That's a coincidence. I'm gonna just let that soak into y'all mind on my spider web.
Of the NBC News family as well. Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Jillian Turner, Fox News host, was also vice president of Jones Group International, doing an interview with her old boss and my old boss.
Chris Wallace's father, Mike Wallace, was a Navy communications officer.
I'm Mike Wallace. My name is Mike Wallace. I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace. You've said that you could do a better job at negotiating an arms control agreement with the Soviets than some of these professionals who've been trying to do it for years.
I didn't say me, Mike. I said somebody has to do it. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it.
You can.
Somebody has to help this country, and if they don't, the country and the world are in big trouble.
Oh my God, the Great Messiah. Now this is deep right there. So in this Shadowgate documentary, there is a minor bias. You feel me? That the person who made this documentary is onto the QAnon movement. She, you feel me, is hip on that. And I can't blame people. I can't even blame people for thinking like that. I already know what the world is. So with that being said, I can look over that because my spirit wants to actually understand its real knowledge. But to get to the problem with that whole thing, or the issue that possibly might lie there and the probabilities of the universe, is the fact that this whole time you could see that, you feel me, over Donald Trump's presence to United States or presence to the media beforehand, it was already in a way setting him up to like basically be this person who would come in and drain the swamp. Like, he's already been exposing it slightly and all these different things. Now, a lot of people, like, there's a duality to that. There's probabilities inside of that. Math that needs to be done. And the math that needs to be done is to figure out the probability of this man actually just so happening to be and first of all, he's a whistleblower ahead of time. He's whistleblowing all this stuff about different conspiracies that he can benefit from, of course. We're not, okay, that's a good thing. He's being honest, vocal, and he's, you feel me, exposing things that the average everyday working person don't agree with. Now, you move on over time, he gets his own TV show. He like, once again, the media is fake now. The media is fake. He's been in the media, so he would know that. And it's fake news and all this stuff. But he ends up, before this period of his life ends up coming up, manifesting, he got his own TV show. He's branding his name. He's expanding his quote-unquote empire, right? So I don't know if y'all know this, but Donald Trump and Alex Jones are actually connected with each other. Like, in a way. They fuck with each other, like, really hard. And the reason that's important is because, like, there's a theory out there that basically Donald Trump is just like this conspiracy. He understands all the conspiracy theories, and then over time it was meant for him to get in office so that he can make all these great changes. You get what I'm saying? So the probability that needs to be done is this: does Donald Trump know he's being used? That's it. You get what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he's conscious of the fact that he's being used in the way that he's being used, even if he thinks he's doing something good or bad. You don't know. So there's probabilities on that because of the fact that no matter what, no matter what, in our reality, it's based off of you and me. What happens in this reality is not based off of Donald Trump. It's not based off of any of these politicians, they're literally doing what they're doing for you. All this, the big show, what's the name of it? I forgot the name of the Jim Carrey movie where he was on the fake set. But anyway, that whole setup is for you. So with that being said, it's a high possibility that the person who's playing chess might put somebody like a Donald Trump in there to give you the illusion that something of grandeur is taking place at this time. But as I study history, I was even considering doing this video about the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, because we're about to go into the 2020s, and in 100 years ago, the Roaring 20s was blasting. There was a lot of progress made. There was a lot of technology released, new technology released that they had been working on and didn't want to give the public. They started giving the public so they can make money, and it established a new type of economy and it was a whole migration. You get what I'm saying? And then boom, in the 1930s, and like a crash and all this horror stuff with Germany and all this other stuff. You get what I'm saying? But I just look at the cycles, bro. So you can very much relate what happened in the beginning of the 1900s to what's been happening right now, kinda. Even though the technology is way more advanced, the social interaction is still founded off of the old structure, the old way of doing stuff, the old system. So even if they are trying to update it or upgrade it so that it could be better, it's still gonna be a disadvantage, and it's still gonna be a lot of vampirism going on.
Anderson Cooper interned with the CIA.
Hey Anderson, we had a great interview last time. I was wondering if you get a chance to look into Operation Mockingbird? You know what that is.
You're talking about something from the 1950s, dude?
1970s official declassified program how the CIA infiltrated the mainstream media with the higher up. It's declassified.
I read about it in college, yes, I do.
The View is a classic example of IIA, having so-called Republican never-Trumpers on a liberal-based program, like Meghan McCain, the daughter of John McCain, whose 2008 campaign is connected to nearly everyone involved in the coup against President Trump.
The man who needs absolutely no introduction, Joe Biden himself is here.
You may remember when you were a little kid, your dad took care of my bull.
And Abby Huntsman, the daughter of John Huntsman Jr., who was instrumental in the Counter-Informed Propaganda and Disinformation Act of 2016.
Please welcome live
Hold
to
on.
Russia, Abby's dad and U.S. ambassador to Russia, John Huntsman.
There they are.
However, influence operations are strong within alternative media as well. How many IIA assets are you aware of are in social media as influencers?
Just doing the math on what I knew for a fact in ways that I cannot always, in ways that I can't extrapolate any further on. But if I expanded that out logically to different countries, you're talking like in the thousands.
In a report I did titled Exclusive Deep Inside a Leftist Troll Farm, it has now become apparent that I was reporting on an IIA operation. I just didn't realize it at the time. We were able to watch this troll farm in action. Our undercover also gained access to detailed instructions about meme generation and content to troll.
So I want to break that down too, because this is for, you feel me, a lot of the people who on social medias and get their news and their subconscious are groomed by social media 9 times out of 10 just because of the imaging. So with that being said, we can associate the fact that a lot of the memes that get people irritated is based off of the fact that there's scanners and algorithms for people. A lot of the time people complain about how their posts only show up on certain people's stuff. 9 times out of 10 they want, during days and times where they want there to be conflict or for there to be tension, They will literally only show your post to people who they know disagree. Even though you might be friends with somebody, they can tell you're like, they have your shadow self once again. So they can literally, like, the day that you post something that somebody not gonna like, they gonna pop, that shit gonna pop up on their page, and vice versa. So even a lot of the times where you be posting something from the heart and it be deep and spiritual and truthful, and you have somebody come out of nowhere and disagree with it, this is for the people who be, you feel me, no-siders, or even like genuine grassroots movement people, or even goddamn government document believers, who be people who actually bring government facts to people's face and show them that, hey, this is actually going on in today's time. You'll be able to provide proofs, you get what I'm saying, and provide situations in which, even the non-political people too, in which you'll be able to provide, you'll be in a situation where somebody would take that spiritual thing that you just put, or that truth, or that proof, or that evidence, or that understanding, and they would literally like be so stupid or ignorant, and you might not even follow this person. This person might not even follow you. They might come out of nowhere, and then if you respond to that, that's basically what they wanted. And they basically be subconsciously planning certain comments under pictures to even discredit, or basically to make you to make it seem unrational. It's now they have the little thing where it's like, oh yeah, like what's that shit called, the fact checker or something like that. So they used that as a weapon too. For a whole 2 years before they made the fact checker, people going around saying facts. I don't know if that was a government psyops or not. I don't know if it's a government psyops in one way or another. They either made that up so that they could prep you with predictive programming, or they either vampired it 9 times out of 10. That's what they did. A term that was a genuine term that people made on the streets, everyday people, and they liked it. And then they tried to use that in order to hook you in to believe that this is actually what a fact is, basically. Even though 9 times out of 10, it's an opinion. Okay, so don't be emotionally invested into expressing things on social media anymore. At all, bro. Because you leaving traces of your shadow self.
Discovered these trolls were posing as right-wing extremists spreading anti-Semitic sentiment, while at the same time playing the side of the left, essentially acting as sock puppet A and sock puppet B, aimed at controlling both sides of political discourse. What at first appeared to be mere trolling, promoting a particular political platform, turned out to be a more serious operation engaged in deception and political subterfuge. So discord within Trump's base. Sock puppet A to push narrative that Trump will drain the Israel swamp. Sock puppet B to push narrative that Trump is an ally to Israel. Color the website as hate.
Look, bro, both of those things are actual things that people are saying out their mouth nowadays. It's very, like, you got people saying that Trump is working with Israel hard as fuck. And then you got people saying that Trump is, like, in some way trying to destroy it, like, get rid of all these vampires and people who started the vampire ideology, which is not necessarily Israelites, but it is the people back in that time who, and still to this day, create the ideology of what we call sacrifice. And they didn't create it. They what they called it, monetized it through creating the religion of Israel, or the nation of Israel, and which was governed by sacrifice, which is law and order. Because in order to have law and order, you have to have sacrifice.
Hateful by pushing over-the-top racist and divisive posts that make no real contribution. Flood alt-right Twitter sphere with praise for Andrew Yang until the disclosure as a show of power.
When we infiltrated Yang Gang, the operation had to move to the court was carrying the whole thing.
Let's not forget, Oliver Darcy started tweeting exact talking points, lock and step on time with the Yang 2020 Discord instructions. What's scary is that a new argument could be made regarding this particular IIA operation, which involved useful idiots in both far left and far right extreme groups, used to push Yang 2020 through memes.
What's the difference between a knowing asset and an unknowing asset?
You're going to want to have the least amount of people that know what's going on, the better. And in fact, if it's a government operation and it's classified, you're not going to be able to tell someone because it was classified. Actually, you'll find that most people don't really know any of what's going on above them, or if they know anything, it's only a very small amount. Few people like myself and Jones or somebody who absolutely have to be involved in creating it are going to have the understanding of all of these things. If you're doing it, okay, I get it. Everybody's kind of doing it at one point. If all the Democrats are doing it, how are Republicans supposed to win if they don't do it? So at this point, you got everybody. Who cares who started it, right? Everybody's doing it. But it's getting really bad because they've lost all empathy. They've lost all
When they say doing it, they mean literally stealing literally buying, stealing your data, selling it, and using it in exchange for, you feel me, control. And then after that, the people who buy it from you, these contractors, they use it in order to sell stuff to the public. You feel me? It's a hand-to-hand thing, the economy and the government. You feel me? In the church and the government, that shit don't matter no more. It's your economy and your government. And that's who we stuck at right now because of the fact that people are under the assumption that everything is so genuine, or even they don't have the ability to question whether what they defend or even say is genuine. And if you don't have the ability to say that you might be lost in shit, you more lost than anybody. And at the end of the day,
understanding of humanity. They're starting riots in the streets. They're journalists running in and getting themselves arrested. They're actually becoming the news, to create the news, to generate more clicks.
Useful idiots pushing fake news stories generated from, let's say, Chan boards or fake news websites or bogus blogs could serve as the case in point for government regulation of free speech and journalism. This could destroy the First Amendment through a synthetic fake news problem, giving the government a new tool for targeting political dissent. In other words, weaponizing censorship. Sound familiar?
Do you think it's pointless to out all the IAA assets?
It's like a game of whack-a-mole. You take one out, just be replaced by another. They're done.
Hold on.
So you need to take them out. You need to take the funding source out.
Let's not.
You see what he said? You need to take the funding source out. You need to take the funding source out. That's going back to what I was saying. And going back to what they were saying. But I'm going to let this shit progress. I ain't going to keep stopping because I don't want this video to be extra long.
In the name of preserving the integrity of elections.
General Jones was tapped as the chairman of the board of Atlanta Council to replace John Huntsman. One of the first orders of business that he did with the Atlanta Council was to create a partnership with Facebook. Facebook partners with General Jones at the Atlanta Council to restore election integrity worldwide, right? So the best out of 7 billion people on the planet, Mark Zuckerberg picks the owner of the ShadowNet.
How did anyone ever determine that the Russians hacked the DNC server? Oh yeah, we're supposed to believe that the Russians left breadcrumbs out there
Just going back
so
to
that
the
the
QAnon
17 intelligence agencies could determine it.
17 intelligence agencies. Mark that down,
17,
please. I'm going to go back to
17
that.
intelligence agencies, civilian and military, who have all concluded that these espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and they are designed to influence our election.
This turned out to be false, and the mainstream media had to issue retractions and fire people. Remember?
As you know, the IC was a coordinated product from 3 agencies: CIA, NSA, and the FBI, not all 17 components of the intelligence community.
We're going to speak to Chris Slow, the Chief Technology Officer at...
See, they be, in some of these documentaries, they be moving fast. I don't want to move too fast. I want to slow it down. Because they said something. Let me turn this up too.
The DNC server. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to believe that the Russians left breadcrumbs out there so that the 17 intelligence agencies could determine it.
17 intelligence agencies, civilian and military, who have all concluded that these espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and they are designed to influence our election.
This turned out to...
Telling on themselves. They telling on themselves. They telling on themselves. Now, check. You heard what she just said.
Be false, and the mainstream media had to issue retractions and fire people. Remember?
As you know, the IC was a coordinated product from 3 agencies: CIA, NSA, and the FBI, not all 17 components.
The CIA, the CSA, and the FBI. So that's the ones I named you earlier, right? So with that being said, all the people who bring government documents and shit like that, even y'all, to a vast extent, y'all gotta realize something. That shit could be forged. So even half of the things that we're fighting for right now, they could be designated to be like that at certain periods of time so that people could prepare for it. So all the stuff where it's like underground stuff and underground bunkers and they telling you it's for survival and shit like that, you think that shit been for survival all this time? It's not always for survival. It's for the kids, and it's for kids, basically. It's for organ harvesting. It's for blood harvesting. It's for alchemistry. It's for experimentation. So with that being said, we already know about Henrietta Lackeys. That's just for some people. Even if you're not even conscious, you should know about Henrietta Lackeys. Or, I hope I'm saying her name right. But with that being said, that's just proof. It's still happening to this day. It's not getting worse, it's getting better.
The intelligence community.
We're going to speak to Chris Slow, the Chief Technology Officer at Reddit. And then we're going to go to Renee DiResta at the Stanford Internet Observatory. We'll talk on the phone with John at the Oxford Internet Institute, and then Jeremy Blackburn at the iDrama Lab. It's a group of scientists and academics that use math and science to try to detect this stuff.
Okay, so this guy went into depth to find out.
Is there some type of large-scale, coordinated, inauthentic activity on Reddit? Is that a thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Jeremy and the iDrama Lab team were able to create a report with fascinating implications. This yellow line is what we're interested in because it's Russian troll activity on Reddit. Troll activity seems to slow down for a while, and then when the moment is right, in this case, right before the 2016 election, a percentage of these accounts surge into action and try to influence society.
However, if you actually read the academic paper, Who Let the Trolls Out, it says, although the exact methodology used to determine that these accounts were state-sponsored trolls is unknown, based on the most recent Department of Justice indictment. Wait a minute, but then how does this paper go on to make any claims about who was running these troll farms? The data set appears to have been constructed in a manner that we can assume essentially no false positives, while we cannot make any postulations about false negatives. Say what?
Oh yeah, they get to the part.
In
I ain't
other
even
words,
gonna skip it.
because non-attribution and misattribution technology, these tools could have been coming out of Virginia, where Dynology is, where Clear Force is, and where the 91st Cyber Brigade of the National Guard deployed the ShadowNet last year. Furthermore, if you look at who has funded this academic paper, it says this project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation, which is the European Union 2020 flagship initiative aimed at securing Europe's global competitiveness. I wonder which presidential candidate in 2016 was pro-EU.
That's why we are discussing possible negotiations with the European Union.
In any case, we need to work with
Hillary Clinton? Oh, for real?
Under the new administration, because we know that the Trump administration is unfortunately supporting this unilateral action.
However, if we consider the very likely scenario
Donald Trump is
that
against,
these trolls
once
are
again now, what the president, okay, this is how it works. Bill Cooper broke this down. What the president before says is what the next president is going to do. So they always had to be in opposition, you get what I'm saying? So that when one president is in office, he can get one polarity of the energy established and balanced and in law and order. Then by the time the other polarity is, you feel me, in power, or the president or whatever you want to say it is, or whatever energy they're trying to manifest is being manifested, then you will see that once again they'll be complete opposite. But once again, everything that the previous while Donald Trump is in power, for example, basically he's gonna go against Mexicans and all this other shit. He's gonna go against all the shit that they saying. Right? That's how it works, because the president is supposed to go against all this stuff. And then the opposition is supposed to be for it. And then they're supposed to be losing. And then over time, finding better ways to come back and win. And then by the time, you feel me, the person that served their 2 terms, like, yep, okay, you served your 2 terms type shit. They, come back, the opposition comes back, and then they're in power. And then they literally agree with everything that the person who was just in power just did undercover, and they don't change anything about it. If anything, they make it more efficient for what it's designed to do. And after that, they establish the exact opposite of what the person said they was going to do every time.
Our IIA.
So they just set it up like right now. Donald Trump, like, that's why they want him to be a hero or view him as one. So as many people as many people as possible that could see Donald Trump as a hero, there's a probability and a number out there that is designed to be just as equally for the amount of people who are going to want him to be dethroned, but over time start to see him as you feel me, somebody who they should work with. And then the next president is going to be the same way. And ain't nothing gonna change unless, you feel me, more people start to mutate.
The contractors like Leone, like Dynology, like McChrystal are operating, then this data becomes very intriguing. For one, we can see there are some meaningful peaks in account creation. Between July 3rd through 17th of 2016, which was right before the start of the RNC, which was July 18th through the 21st, where Donald Trump was named the Republican nominee for president, which was also when Manafort took over the Trump campaign, which we know was the entry point for Trump's campaign to almost get snagged by the Cambridge Analytica honeypot scheme. Part of the plot to create the illusion that Trump was elected, not for foreign propaganda and influence. We're actually looking at domestic propaganda and influence to control our elections.
If you can make a conversation into a 2-sided thing instead of a 3-sided or 4-sided, whoever sided thing, it becomes much easier to control it, right? If there's 2 very clearly opposing points of views, black and white, now it's easier to control the narrative because people get locked into one of those points of views or the other.
Should we be surprised
So
that
that's
this YouTuber...
hence the duality of why I broke it down to you in the beginning. I'm going to say it again. BLM versus New Age movement. Non-political people versus non-political people versus document government believers, attention seekers / instigators / clout chasers / no-siders versus genuine grassroots movement members. And all of the sources of this, once again, is from mostly the FBI, the CFR, the CIA, the military-industrial complex. No matter what side you're on, almost. It's a subversion happening. So, as long as there's a balance of dualities inside of the probability, then they can always manipulate the outcome. They can always manipulate the outcome.
Seems to know so much, yet skirts the line, somehow avoiding a subject everyone in this video should know about if they are experts on social media manipulation and influence operations.
Effective social media weapons, which can then be deployed to understand how these disinformation campaigns work. This particular troll operation was underway.
What I think you're talking about is information operations.
Sebastian Bay works for the NATO Strategic Communications Center of Excellence. NATO is fully aware of the destructive nature of social media manipulation.
You have a team of investigators, and these are people who come from everything from the intelligence community to law enforcement.
If the bad actor and the good actor are, you get to change the battlefield at any point you want.
Exactly.
The military is aware that this is a big deal. They know it's a big deal, and it's hard to win a war without a map. I don't know if it's ever been done.
That's pretty good, dude.
Sorry, but that looks way too much like IIA conducted by a public affairs officer as part of an information operation.
For the past 15 years, I have been a federal employee, specifically something called a Department of Defense civil servant. It's because I'm not a journalist, I'm not a politician, I'm a rocket engineer. We, the men and women of the Army Test Evaluation Command, have been tasked with the job of protecting soldiers by testing their equipment.
Wait, what? This is getting ridiculous. So, let's look at the IIA picture here. On one hand, we have the left, which is pushing the Black Lives Matter narrative that there's a major problem with police racially targeting African American men and killing them.
Protesters turned out in droves, many for the first time, to call for change in a system they say discriminates against Black Americans.
Then we have the Blue Lives Matter on the right, pushed by conservatives, where you're beefing up and trying to get more funding and resources to the police.
With violence against police officers on the rise, a growing number of states are passing so-called Blue Lives Matter laws to classify violence against officers as a hate crime.
In IIA, it's important to have a false dichotomy.
False dichotomy is also known as false bifurcation, or the either-or fallacy. Basically what this is claiming that there are only two options when in fact there are more.
So that both sides are fighting against each other, and neither side is actually putting forward a valid solution.
A protest in support of police was met by counter-protesters by incidents of police violence. As they marched towards the 6-8 precinct in Bay Ridge, the two sides clashed.
When you make it all about race, or you make it all about just blindly supporting the police in everything they do, you're excluding important conversations that need to be had to protect Americans' rights and civil liberties. The left and the right coming together to talk about police brutality and people having their rights violated as a whole. And in excluding those discussions, you're allowing for the establishment bulking up and beefing up the police while using technological advancements in algorithms and AI to further control the American population. They are now even saying, and they have articles written on this, about how we need to move towards having algorithms make decisions whether or not someone gets released on bond, or risk assessments, whether or not a police officer should use deadly force or should be concerned about their safety based on these algorithms. They're saying that this is the solution to the racial bias that these police officers are inflicting on people. This is their Hegelian dialectic, so to speak.
Some departments are also considering drone surveillance and body cameras equipped with facial recognition technology. This video from the maker of an AI-powered body cam demonstrates how the technology could be used to find a missing child. Not shown how they could use it to track suspects. Meanwhile, cities across the country have embraced a predictive policing approach that focuses not on high-risk people, but on high-risk places, putting entire neighborhoods under watch.
Problem, reaction, solution. The solution being technology in policing, which should scare us all.
RoboCop. He is
I'm scared.
OCD's newest soldier in their revolutionary crime management program.
Robo, excuse me, Robo. Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
Stay out of trouble.
What is NISPOM and how does it relate to ClearForce?
NISPOM is kind of like the OSHA of companies with clearances, right? So if you have an employee who has a government clearance like secret, top secret, NISPOM regulates what's involved with that to try to maintain security with it. After 2013 Snowden, Dynology decided, hey, let's build the ClearForce app, and they started working on the ClearForce application to create predictive behavioral models so that they could scrape social media like Intrepid does and such. Social media scraping, collect all the information on people, then they tie that in with their financials, their medical, all these things. They create these predictive behavioral models for them.
In a very predictive way, the 1950s sci-fi story by Philip K. Dick, The Minority Report, has come to life in our time. Police departments have already been using it. In what are called heat lists, predictive programs designed to use risk assessment in predetermining whether or not a crime is going to occur and or who is likely to commit it. Like the dystopian artificial intelligence law enforcement referred to in Shadowgate 1. The scary thing here is that they've done overviews and studies of the system, and they've...
Hey, the video quality not gonna be perfect. You need to go watch the whole video yourself. This is a little, you feel me, reaction video, episode 8.
Found that oftentimes there are people that get flagged as high risk when they themselves have never even had a criminal record.
Police in Santa Cruz, California are getting closer to the sci-fi future using this algorithm, a complicated math equation similar to the one that predicts earthquake aftershocks to predict crime.
If you can imagine the Atlantic Council working with Facebook to put you in Facebook jail, then it's not a stretch to imagine that ClearForce could work with the police to put you in real jail.
So they modified the NISPOM requirements in late 2016, requiring the same predictive behavioral requirements the ClearForce application, which was now at that point launched as ClearForce Company, offers. The NISPOM comes out and announces these are new requirements for NISPOM. And then 2 weeks later, General Jones comes out with his new company, and Michael Hayden, Obama's CIA director, come out with this new company saying, oh, hey, we've got the solution for you here. We can...
So let me also stress how extremely weird it is, what you just said. The fact that somebody can go from being a CIA director to owning their own business. The amount of intelligence that it takes to be the CIA director, the secret intelligence, the amount of secrets that it takes, you can't just go and have no regular everyday business job. You can't tell me. And then it so happens that that field he has a business in, and he was already, you feel me, involved, bruh. So you telling me this man is not using that intelligence for his own gain? You can't tell me he's not. So we can't, the fact that that is allowed in this system in the first place is not righteous.
Help you meet this compliance for a nominal fee of $1,500 a person per month.
ClearForce is a technology company with a mission to create safe and secure work environments for organizations through early discovery, automation, and compliant actioning of risk.
What they do is they create these predictive behavioral models to determine if you're likely to steal or leak before you've ever even stolen or leaked. And this same capability is available to any business out there that wants it.
The opportunity.
So now we get into something else. When you go take these applications, when you go fill out an application, or if you want to do something online or something like that, if you want to sign up for a program, sometimes, or an institution, they're going to give you a test of some sort. Like nowadays, specifically, we talking about jobs now. If you apply for a job, they're gonna 9 times out of 10 give you this silly test and ask you random questions. It's not random no more. It's once again tracking your shadow self. Every time you do, just so happens that every time you do one of these tests, they are also taking out your social security number, information about where you live and all this stuff. Why would your job need all that information? Why nowadays is that most jobs that poor people have to work, or people who are just now starting out working, basically people who are the youth, basically meaning that the agenda moving forward has been established. Why is it that those jobs are the places where they ask these random questions and stuff like that? You get what I'm saying? It's not random. It's because of this.
You can proactively identify employees that may under various types of stress, whether it's health, financial, arrest records, social media use, all these things, and not just say, well, we can't do anything about that because that was outside of work, or we shouldn't do anything about that.
And the reason why this is important, because this stuff is not accurate, because it's not designed to be accurate. It does not work. It's a psyops to make you think that you are getting a service, but you're actually getting a disservice.
Because we wouldn't want to get involved in someone's personal relationship with their boyfriend. I think that's probably not a wise move.
So if they can use predictive program risk assessments against individuals, would they be brazen enough to use it against
Predictive
a
program
sitting
risk
president?
assessments.
With the new NISPOM requirements in place, conveniently with ClearForce determining who should and shouldn't get a clearance or government contract, with the Smith-Mundt Act modifications along with the Foreign Propaganda Act in place, allowing for domestic propaganda masked through misattribution as foreign propaganda, one thing was needed to take out a sitting president: oversight to make sure nobody was watching. System, and they found that
because she's hiding it inside of the fact that, oh yeah, Donald Trump and they trying to take out the president, but she's actually exposing the actual shit that needs to be exposed under the layer of that. So I'm gonna play it back.
Oftentimes there are people that get flagged as high risk when they themselves have never even had a criminal record.
Police in Santa Cruz, California are getting closer to the sci-fi future using this algorithm, a complicated math equation similar to the one that predicts earthquake aftershocks, to predict crime.
If you can imagine the Atlantic Council working with Facebook to put you in Facebook jail, then it's not a stretch to imagine that ClearForce could work with the police to put you in real jail.
So they modified the NISPOM requirements in late 2016, requiring...
So they've been using, so this is not legal. And it should not be legal, because that's invasion of privacy. It's not righteous. And we shouldn't even need the government. We shouldn't need a government we don't need a government that does that. We do not. It doesn't stop anything. In the first shadow gate, you have to go watch these shadow gates, bro. You have to go watch this on her website, millennialmilly.com, I think. But yeah, try that. I'm gonna try to put and I'm also put the link in the bio. But with that being said, I'm gonna put the link in the description, whatever they call it on YouTube, down below. Anyway, go to her website, watch this. In the first one, she was explaining how these programs have been, not only have these programs secretly been in effect and they're being exposed, and they've been trying to basically since 2009, 2008, stop it from being exposed. Which is what my first episode was about, mostly. Since then, they've been trying to stop it from being exposed, and with that being said, now we're at a point to where they're doing this psyops and subversion, to where they're trying to blend it in with these different groups. And you will forget completely, the same way that right before 9/11, they figured out that there was how many billions of dollars missing from the Federal Reserve Bank that wasn't supposed to be missing. or from the congressional, you feel me, congressional bank that was supposed to be missing, they just so happened to figure it out a couple days before 9/11. They're like, shut it down. We don't give a fuck. Do it right now. They gonna figure it out. That's the same thing they doing right now. They releasing other information that's gonna distract you from the economy and the people who behind the doors can keep making this happen over and over. Not just the people who are just the puppet man.
The same predictive behavioral requirements the ClearForce application, which was now at that point launched as ClearForce Company, offers. The NISPOM comes out and announces these are new requirements for NISPOM. And then 2 weeks later, General Jones comes out with his new company, and Michael Hayden, Obama's CIA director, come out with this new company saying, oh, hey, we've got the solution for you here. We can help you meet this compliance for a nominal fee of $1,500 a person per month.
ClearForce is a technology company with a mission to create safe and secure work environments for organizations through early discovery, automation, and compliant actioning of risk.
What they do is they create these predictive behavioral models to determine if you're likely to steal or leak before you've ever even stolen or leaked. And this same capability is available to any business out there that wants it.
The opportunity to proactively identify employees that may under various types of stress, whether it's health, financial, arrest records, social media use, all these things, and not just say, well, we can't do anything about that because that was outside of work, or we shouldn't do anything about that because we don't want to get involved in someone's personal relationship with their boyfriend. I think that's probably not a wise move.
So if they can use predictive program risk assessments against individuals, would they be brazen enough to use it against a sitting president? With the new NISPOM requirements in place, conveniently with ClearForce determining who should and shouldn't get a clearance or government contract, with the Smith-Mundt Act modifications along with the Foreign Propaganda Act in place,
The Smith-Mundt Act. I'm about to write this shit down. Act 2012. And then CFP and Disinformation Act, which I covered in one of my previous podcasts. At 2016. Okay. The Smith-Mundt Act, Modernization Act, and the Counter Foreign Propaganda. The Counter Foreign Propaganda and Disinformation Act of 2016. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. Take note.
allowing for domestic propaganda masked through misattribution as foreign propaganda, one thing was needed to take out a sitting president: oversight to make sure nobody was watching. September 30th, 2016. Obama knows that within 30 days, if the NSA can't fix the overcollection problem by either dumping data or justifying having it, the FISA court will order the IG of the NSA to investigate. So what does Obama do? He writes an executive order that makes the IG of the NSA a presidential appointment rather than an appointment by the director of the NSA. November 30th, 2016. Obama nominates Robert Storch, who is working as deputy IG of the DOJ under Horowitz at the same time.
Robert Storch. I'm Robert Storch, and I'm honored to steal your soul as
During
a
the
national
transition
security
period from the Obama administration into the Trump administration. These last few changes during the 2016 election are what facilitated the leaks of classified information, including the contents of telephone calls between heads of state and laid out the path for the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
Let's talk about Spirit of America. Why does their website literally look like a...
So not only is Donald Trump actually so they're exposing Donald Trump for doing illegal stuff, using illegal technology that they illegally put in place themselves to illegally put themselves back in power. So that's what the people mean by choosing the lesser of two evils, or choosing the lesser of any evil by that part, because it's angles. They're all angles of light in which, you feel me, they are negative. So with that being said, don't matter which side it don't matter which side of the evil you want, you're gonna end up getting the whole thing.
A yearbook of all of the never-Trumpers and the people that have been plotting the coup against President Trump.
It does.
General Stanley McChrystal is the Spirit of America.
I mean, Spirit of America is a veterans-based nonprofit running ads, running commercials and such in Iraq. Are there a lot of veteran expats moving to Iraq right now? I don't think so. So they're using these organizations. If you're a legitimate veterans nonprofit operating overseas, now you're going to be looked at potentially as a spy organization or something.
If we take a closer look at Spirit of America, besides being a who's who of those who would benefit from overthrowing the president through an elaborate coup d'etat, we can see that Tory Mahoney, a different Tory, is the special assistant to the CEO who plans, manages, and executes the CEO's schedule and provides research and planning support to special projects and strategic initiatives. In addition to her political fundraising experience, Tory was a field director for Senator Portman's record-breaking 2016 election campaign. Wow, what a coincidence! Portman just so happens to be the senator for my district. What's this? She also happens to be the scheduler for the House of Representatives during the same period Technology had the government contract for the Congressional Knowledge Management System. These official documents suggest the Congressional Knowledge Management System, outsourced to a private contractor, is hosted, managed, and stored in servers in Germany. This is very disturbing. She is literally connected to everyone I likely pissed off in Shadowgate 1 and in a position to... But I'm not going to go there. Notice both the Rhino Republicans and Deep State Democrats are still pushing the Russia meddling in our election narrative. Who benefits from this? NATO and those who profited from staging a civil war in Ukraine.
President Trump turned his attention to the leadership at the Pentagon.
That's happening
He
right now.
says many top military leaders don't support him because he wants to get the U.S. out of wars while they want to keep waging war, mainly to satisfy
Donald Trump wants to get the U.S. out of war.
Right. Shipped away our jobs, threw open our borders, and sent our youth to fight in these crazy, endless wars. And it's one of the reasons the military, I'm not saying the military is in love with me, the soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
I didn't vote for any of these people pushing their idea of America overseas, right? I voted for President Trump, and if he says, okay, this is the message we want out, then I'm okay with that. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is you have these people that hate President Trump because they're trying to make money from the Department of Defense, and he's like trying to cut their access to the money he wants to pay to put in more and more troops and such. You have this war between them. They're constantly attacking them. They've got Biden lined up for 2020 to be able to get their little game going.
Y'all better listen to me, not Donald Trump. Y'all better listen to us.
Just say, sponsored by the
yourself,
military industrial complex.
Beautiful.
You know who got the money, and Donald Trump can't take that access off
who they want,
without
right? That's their
you
guy.
and the masses' consent. You don't even take the masses' consent. Most people don't even got to know about it. Just the truth got to be exposed one good time, bro.
You believe that Vice President
Joe Biden would be a more effective commander-in-chief over the next 4 years?
Joe, I do. I think that he would surround himself with an effective team of good people.
Now with Cindy McCain, widow of Senator John McCain. Last night she became the latest prominent Republican to endorse Joe Biden for president.
I want a president who has my back.
I've always been
prominent Republican
on the opposite side of John McCain. No, I was not a fan of John McCain because he wanted the endless wars. And I didn't. I thought that the way the vets were taken care of, our great vets, was not good, not appropriate.
That's true.
And of course he took the fake dirty dossier and handed it over to the FBI.
Like I said earlier.
The Republicans, through John McCain and his associates, disseminated the fake Russian dossier.
It wasn't until the dossier appears on the scene that they were able to go and get a warrant.
They point their fingers at the Democrats for colluding with the Russians.
The dossier was prepared by a man named Christopher Steele, who was hired by Fusion GPS, that was being paid by the Democratic Party and the Clinton campaign to do opposition research against candidate Trump.
Meanwhile, the Democrats pushed the narrative that the Russians hacked the DNC.
The FBI learned in July of 2016
FBI.
that the Trump campaign appeared to have advanced knowledge of Russia's plans to release, quote, thousands of emails, end quote, to harm Hillary Clinton and help Trump.
It's the truth.
The FBI
and
learned
it just so
this
happened to
1
help
week
Trump.
After WikiLeaks
So it's just like, oh, y'all, we mad.
That Russia
Y'all
had
doing what we do.
the
That's basically what this whole documentary was exposing.
Computers.
And that Paul Manafort, who just so happens to be John McCain's former campaign manager, gave social media data to the Russians to help Trump win the 2016 election.
QAnon right there. There you go.
Of criminal charges.
You happy?
Rely on the Steele dossier. None of them.
The so-called Russian dossier was part of a cover story, hiding the fact that the NSA overcollection problem was being used to spy on the Trump campaign candidate and now President Donald Trump, all the way up until March 15, 2020. The alleged impeachment whistleblower was actually a wiretap, hence supersonic hearing capabilities. Eric Ciaramella was a decoy to hide the fact that the president was being wiretapped through a 702 data overcollection problem connected to the Sunset Clause, collection problem that the NSA Inspector General Robert Storch oversaw. None of this was ever supposed to be found out, but Trump won.
It wasn't.
Now with an administration in a position to piece this whole thing
perfectly pieced together.
Which is why President Trump allowed the Sunset Clause of the Patriot Act, which legalized and enabled the FISA 702 collection of everyone's data, to expire on March 15, 2020. But not before he declared a state of emergency on March 13, 2020, where his people had access for 72 hours to all the data, including the communications of those who were plotting a coup against him. Oops. The military-industrial complex, which has been running both Republican and Democrat Party campaigns, used hacks as cover for removing and replacing memorandums of understanding, backdoor deals, blackmail, election meddling software, emails, etc. from the RNC and DNC servers. This all came to a head in 2016 when an unexpected mirroring of the DNC server created a situation where domestic meddling in elections could be found out. So non-attribution and misattribution had to be used to make it look like the Russians not only hacked the DNC and RNC servers, but leaked that information to WikiLeaks and the Trump campaign to falsely claim Trump was colluding with the Russians to win the 2016 election. But when the Trump campaign turned down the honeypot trap offer from Cambridge Analytica for social media influence operations, which was a setup to make it look like the social media data used by Cambridge Analytica came from the Russians, the shadow government's plot to create a scenario for impeachment of President Trump